Hello everybody, welcome to Nostalgia Goggles. I'm Chris, also known as Retro Gaming Nerd, and today we're gonna talk about this one. With Sonic Superstars coming out and Mania being a thing, I feel like we kind of get lost in the sauce when it comes to the new style 2D Sonic games. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this one as much as they should, and I also feel like a lot of people don't talk about Game Boy Advance games as much as they should. With that being said, is this worth playing today? Well, let's find out. So the story of this game is what you would expect from a Sonic game. It's just Sonic and friends are going after Dr. Eggman to stop his evil plans. That's really it. It's very simple, and it's very much what you expect from a Sonic game. Nothing really more to be said about that. With that being said, let's move on to the gameplay. So when it gets right down to it, the gameplay for Sonic Advanced is very interesting and also very familiar. At least when you're playing as Sonic, it's something that you would expect as a game. It plays very well and it plays like a classic Sonic game, with some minor new things. It's when it gets down to the other characters that's where it feels super new for the time. See, characters like Knuckles, Tails, and Amy all play dramatically differently. Knuckles is actually able to punch within this game, which feels kind of useless to me. I haven't found a use for it, but that's also just maybe because I haven't had as much time with this one as I had the other one, because I didn't start with this one, I started with 2. So I don't really see the point of Knuckles punching. Tails does what Tails does best, which is flying, but that's great within this game. And Amy is the only one that's dramatically different because she has hammer gameplay, which is kind of hard to explain, but I could see where it frustrate people if you didn't know what you were expecting, especially since Amy now plays very similar to Sonic, so it's kind of hard to explain her. She plays kind of like how she plays in Adventure, and I don't know if that translates to 2D as well as they think it does. She's able to do some really cool jumps with her hammer, and she's really able to do some really cool things, but she is slower, and it's just kind of harder to get into her gameplay. All in all, I think that the gameplay is super solid within this game, and I think that it definitely is super fun. One of the biggest issues that I do have to admit with this game, though, is it does feel super tedious when you're playing as the other characters, because I don't know exactly if there is a reason to play as them outside of maybe collecting the Chaos Emeralds and all that other stuff, but even then, collecting the Chaos Emeralds is a pain in the ass in this game. I feel like if you want to have the most amount of fun within this game, you pick your favorite characters, you play as them, and then you can be completely done, and I feel like that would be the greatest way to go at it. I feel like the Chaos Emerald zones, which I do not even have footage of because I just don't want to, but I've heard that they're a pain, so I don't feel like there's any point in it. So it's weird to say this, but this is a game that I don't think is worth completing. With that being said, though, the game itself is super solid and super fun, and I think that that's all I really have to say about it. The gameplay is super solid, but then again, that's kind of what Sonic should be. With that being said, let's move on to presentation. There's something about Game Boy Advance games that are super nostalgic, and I think it might just be the soundboard that they have, or the usage of it, and I'm talking about this one specifically because this game just sounds amazing, and I absolutely love how this game sounds, but it's super nostalgic as well. And it's not only this one, a lot of Game Boy Advance games have that kind of soundtrack that is it's just so good, I love it. Another thing of note with the presentation is that these sprites are amazing as well. They've been used in so many animations, you've seen them before, at least at some point if you've been on the internet. They're just great. I love them. Another thing that's also really great about this game is most of the backgrounds. There are some backgrounds that are just okay, but when these backgrounds are great, they're great. And I think that that's also something that Sonic's known for as well. Music, sprite design, all Sonic. Really, this game is a solid Sonic game, and that's all I really have to say about it. It presents itself amazingly, and I think it just does a great job at what it does. The thing that sucks about this game is that it's only been released on the Game Boy Advance, but that means that with accessibility, it's very easy to get your hands on. Now, as I said before in my Metroid Zero Mission episode, when it comes to Game Boy Advance games, you have to be very careful because those are rampant with bootlegs. Now, there's nothing wrong if you want the bootleg because, I mean, let's be real here, most of them still work, but if you want one, you have to kind of be careful, and there's ways to look for it, and whatever. So with that being said, though, you'll pay about $20 to $30 for this game outside of its box. Now, since Game Boy Advance boxes are cardboard, it's kind of hard to get them complete, but there is a complete version that you'll normally get for 70 to like $100, which I think is pretty good when it gets right down to it. Good luck finding a boxed version of this game, but hey, it's there. All in all, I think that with this game only having one release, it's pretty good for the price that it's at. I really do wish that Sega would release something with these games. The Advance series only existed, to my knowledge, on the Game Boy Advance, so it kind of sucks that there's no other way to play them. Now, hopefully they might put it on NSO. I hope. With the partnership that they have with the Genesis being on there, it's possible, but I have no honest clue. I'd absolutely love to see these games more available. They're fun, and I just would love to see them, like I said. So with that being said, let's move on to the goods and the bads. This game is Sonic at its best, right? At least for the time. It has good music, good gameplay, good backgrounds. All in all, this game is super solid. I can see maybe in comparison to its sequels, there might be issues, but I haven't played their sequels in such a long time that I can't really compare them, so I'm just kind of comparing this off of what I've played right now with the first one. All in all, this is a super solid game, and I think that it works out very well for what we've gotten for the Game Boy Advance. Especially since we had a blunder on the remake of Sonic 1 on the Game Boy Advance, so which in truth has nothing to do with Sonic Advance, but it's still interesting that there was that hiccup. Anyways, that has nothing to do with this episode. All in all, this game's super solid. I feel like when it gets right down to it, the repetitive nature of having multiple characters might be something that I feel like can be complained about, especially since it might just be a skill issue for me, but especially since the characters don't really do much. Like, they definitely play differently, but I feel like you can play with your favorite character and then move on from this game. I don't feel like the levels give you too much of a different experience with all these characters. And that might just be me. I don't know. I might not be into this game. That might be it. You know, I might not understand these characters, but I think another thing that might be a negative is that Amy is one of those characters that's kind of hard to understand right off the bat. She doesn't play like the others, and her playstyle is very unique and slow, and I can see where people would find that as a complaint. Last but not least, something that I feel like is complained about is that the Chaos Emerald zones are bad. I have not played them, but from looking at them, I just don't want to, and I've never been a fan of the Chaos Emerald zones in general. I think that they're fun. I've had some that I really like Sonic 3 and Sonic Mania and even Sonic All-Stars, but I don't know. It makes sense that it doesn't work, but I feel like the thing that I've heard about it is that it's like a depth perception problem, kind of like Sonic Triple Trouble. If I'm wrong, Spiny will correct me in the comment section, but that is something that I've heard. All in all the stuff that I've mentioned are absolutely not deal breakers for the game. I feel like one is kind of just can be easily ignored. The character one can easily be ignored because having all these characters are nice, and the fact that they all play differently is nice enough. It doesn't matter that I feel that the levels don't accommodate, because I just don't know. They might. I don't know. With that being said though, let's move on to the final thoughts. So, is this game worth playing today? I'm not throwing it. I'm not coordinated enough to do the thing, you know. I did it there, but these are so small that I will miss, and it'll take 100 takes, so I'm not doing it for anyone that cares. Is this game worth playing today? The answer is yeah, kinda, yeah. What I mean by that is I feel like your mileage may vary, but it does hold up. The reason why I say that is if you're trying to collect all the Chaos Emeralds, no, don't do that. Just don't do that. I haven't even seen the Chaos Emerald zones, but from what I've heard from other better gamers than I am, which is not that hard, but I've heard that that's difficult and also not fun. So that could really ruin your experience with this game, but all in all, I think this game's still worth playing today. Really, it depends on the value you put into this game, and I think that if you're somebody that's just looking for a 2D Sonic game that's a little bit different, I think that this one's worth it. So, with that being said, what's your favorite 2D Sonic game? Why am I asking these questions now? I'm trying to appease you, YouTube. Work with me. So, I'll see you guys next time here on Nostalgia Goggles. Bye!